A milestone in Navy history was launched in April 1979 at General Dynamics docks in Groton, Connecticut, in the presence of government officials. The largest American submarine, this 170-meter nuclear steel monster with 18,000 tons, can destroy a nation. USS Ohio is the first of 18 flightships that formed the U.S. nuclear triad, still regarded as outstanding 40 years later. The USSR-US space race peaked in the mid-1960s. We all know about those powerful rockets and the pioneers they sent to the stars. This race took place in both peaceful and military settings. The rise of intercontinental ballistic missiles weakened U.S. dominance. Soviet missiles could hit U.S. forces before they could react. The Pentagon began extensive research to solve this issue. The StratX program was supposed to modernize the U.S. nuclear triad land, sea, and air forces. This study found 9 promising key concepts, 5 of which were land-based military systems, aviation and 4 naval. In one naval concept, large nuclear submarines would be on long-term duty at sea and carry missiles that could be used almost anywhere in the world. This concept used a ballistic missile and a submarine. Work began on the first part in the early 1970s. New missiles were supposed to have a higher combat load and range than U.S. ones. The Trident was born, meeting military requirements. The submarine was worked on simultaneously. Military and engineering calculations showed that the optimal carrier should carry 20 missiles, requiring a 14,000-ton boat. Direct development made the boats heavier and increased their arsenal. For this project, General Dynamics, the main executor, modernized its electric boat shipyard. Established in 1976, the lead boat is named after Ohio. The new class ended up with the same name. Though the Navy initially planned to receive 10 of these submarines, ambitions grew while building the first. By 1981, when USS Ohio entered service, the Navy had ordered 15 units, with plans to add more later. General Dynamics gave the fleet 18 Ohio-class submarines between 1981 and 1997. Engineers had to balance large sizes, power, low noise, durability, and equipment when building boats. And this is taking into account the acceptable operating economy. Even the Pentagon has finite budgets. Ohio is a third-generation boat. Its size is a U.S. Navy record. 170-meter, 18,750-ton ship. However, this is only an American record. The later Soviet Typhoon submarines were 48,000-ton monsters. Despite its non-record size, Ohio has a record arsenal. All boats have 24 ballistic missile silos. Even the Super Typhoon had 20. This is first and foremost due to the missile's lighter and smaller design than Soviet ones. The first 8 boats delivered before 1986 had Triton IC-4 missiles. They could carry 8 100-kiloton W-76 nuclear warheads and had a range of 7,400 kilometers or 4,600 miles at 33 tons. From the 9th boat, USS Tennessee, the silos were equipped with the more advanced Trident 2D5 missiles, which had a range of 12,000 kilometers, 7,500 miles, and could carry up to 8 475 KTW-88 or 14,100 KTW-76 warheads. Low-speed missiles can be launched at 20-second intervals from a 30-meter depth in waves of up to 6 points. In theory, all 24 missiles can be launched with one salvo in a short time, but this has never happened. Technically, it's difficult and expensive to fire 24 triggers at once. A submarine is a submarine, so torpedoes were necessary. For Mark 48 torpedo tubes are the classic weapons. Boats have hybrid hulls. A high-strength steel main pressure hull with ring frames runs the length of the ship and houses the crew and most systems. On top of the pressure hull sits a permeable light hull that covers the missile silos like a roof. The boat is single hull or hybrid because the second light hull covers only the top. This design reduces potential hydrodynamic noise. A high, narrow bridge with horizontal rudders is in front of the missile silos near the bow. The 4 stern fins are the main hydrodynamic rudders, with large vertical modules on the horizontal ones. The boat can dive 240 meters and 800 feet. Nuclear submarine. The plant uses a 240 megawatts General Electric S8G reactor. It powers two 35,000 horsepower turbines and a propeller. A saber-bladed 8-meter propeller powers the boat, but its design and features are classified in the U.S. Additionally, several power units and generators support and maintain the systems. This lets the boat cruise at 25 knots. Low noise is a new generation innovation. The boat was very quiet after a major propulsion system redesign and multiple operating modes. This parameter is still outstanding, and it was incredible at the start of operation. The early 1980s exercises often failed to detect the boat due to equipment limitations. Only the French Triomphant-class submarines can match Ohio's low noise today. The boat has advanced radio-electronic and hydroacoustic equipment. Base of BQQ-6 acoustic station is 4.6-meter spherical antenna with nearly 1,000 hydrophones. The ship also has many passive and active components and information processing automatic systems. Following modernization, the BQQ-6 was replaced by the BQQ-10, which had a common station and open architecture, simplifying upgrades. Boats can create hydrographic maps and share data with fleetmates. Major patrol areas are the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. To support 18 submarines, 2 naval bases were modified. Naval Base Kitsap is near Seattle on the Pacific. Base boats start and end patrols there, but they may stop at Pearl Harbor on the Hawaii Islands. Kings Bay Naval Submarine Base is in southeast Georgia on the Atlantic. Each base has all the equipment to service boats at all stages and train and serve crews and personnel. The boat has 150 workers. Blue and gold crews work on the boat simultaneously. Ohio maps and monitors a 200 by 200 nautical mile sea region, according to estimates. Ships in this service rarely fight, but there are funny moments. A small fishing boat sank in the Caribbean in 2009. The USS Rhode Island submarine crew found a 5-person lifeboat drifting on the high seas after 4 days, when all hope was lost. Very lucky to accidentally hit a nuclear missile carrier in the ocean on a lifeboat. Ironically, the U.S. nuclear submarine fleet lost fighters after the USSR collapsed. The late 1980s plans to build 24 boats were scrapped, and new strategic offensive weaponry reduction agreements were supposed to limit ballistic missile carriers to 14. However, the Navy's analysis showed that nuclear deterrence only required 4. Considering that the first 8 boats had outdated Trident I missiles. Under threat of disposal, serious work was done on them. 4 of 8 upgraded boats have Trident II missiles. The other 4 boats awaited larger projects. They are now cruise missile carriers for non-nuclear operations. The ship received 154 Tomahawk missiles or similar devices from 22 of 24 silos with 7 launchers each. 2 more silos were outfitted for special operations. Since they weren't ballistic missile carriers anymore, the 14-unit limit was not violated. Ohio led the U.S. nuclear triad due to its efficiency and low operating costs. About 2,100 warheads, 60% of the U.S. nuclear arsenal, are on these 14 boats. Even though the oldest submarine is over 40 years old, all 18 are still in service in 2021. All of them are active, patrolling for 6 months. A replacement is being prepared for Ohio-class boats, which are expected to be decommissioned in 2029. New strategic ballistic missile submarines and the Columbia-class will replace Ohio when it retires. The American flagship tradition continues.